Hey everybody, I made it through the first round and I'm coming back for another video. This time I wanted to talk about updating your own personal survival guide. And I'll get into what that means in a little bit, but I just want to come from the angle of my own personal experience that led me to making this video, because really that's what I have to share is my own personal experience. So I'm not interested in making sweeping generalizations. If I ever speak in terminology that implies that, that's just a slip-up. And so if there are things that apply to your life and you would like to use any of the tips I have, then do it. And if there's nothing that does apply to you, then just leave it. I have no investment in this needing to be important to you who are watching this. But I have a feeling it's probably a pretty common experience, so okay. So, as I mentioned in my last video, the theme of judgment has been coming up a lot for me recently, and I've been asking to be challenged lately, spiritually. And I have been. I definitely have been. So one of the ways in which that's been happening has actually been through confrontation and through people giving me feedback that is less than perfect of myself and that is judgmental towards me. So in like work situations, in non-work situations, I'm getting this feedback as I'm working more on myself and, I think actually progressing spiritually like quite a bit. I'm getting feedback from people that's judgmental, that's saying what you're doing is not working for me. So I'm meeting some resistance. So I thought that was really important to explore, because as soon as I was confronted with that, even though I know it is not a life or death situation, even though I know that it doesn't need to define me, I don't need to take on anybody else's definition of what's right and what works, I was still feeling like really like, whoa, like sucker punched by it, like really, really hard time processing those feelings from other people. And I realized it had like a life or death gravity to it. And I realized that thought forms often have that effect on us. And if you look at it from like a logical perspective and you say, okay, what is that thought gonna do? It's kind of like that stupid saying, sorry, okay, it's not stupid, but I don't like the saying, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me, because obviously, like, that's not really true for most people. But I was thinking about how, like, okay, so in like a logical way, you can be hurt if those thought forms manifest into a violent physical realm. But from my own experience, I don't walk around thinking like, okay, if that person doesn't like what I'm saying, I'm probably going to get beat up, or they're probably going to shoot me. I mean, the environment in which I live is one of where usually the worst thing that's going to happen is that they're going to judge me. They're going to think poorly of me or be mad or whatever. So I thought, okay, well, this is really worth exploring, because I'm feeling so gutted by these experiences. So I realized that since I was young, I have developed these coping mechanisms, these, ways to adapt to my environment. Basically a survival guide, We come into our family into a certain role, we come into social situations, and we learn how to adapt to them for who we are personally. And for me, as a middle kid, I had a really, really loving family and never doubted that I was loved, but there was a lot of turmoil also, a lot of really hard things going on for us a lot of the time. And so I always kind of unconsciously adopted this feeling of like, okay, well, it's my job to, make everybody happy. It's my role to have this kind of passive energy of supporting everybody else and just making sure they're happy, because if they're happy, then I'm okay, I'm safe. And I really brought that into every other area of my life. I never wanted to piss anybody off, and I felt like if I pissed somebody off, like I really messed up, and then that was big trouble for me. And I haven't really realized until recently that I had this kind of really gravity to this type of situation. So I started realizing this, and I think that a good way to deconstruct the ideas that you have are by confronting those things. Like, I needed to have these experiences to show me, like, oh, okay, the worst thing that came out of that was that I had to work through it. I had to realize that that's not limiting me in the way that I thought that it was limiting me. And I think that's a really important thing. If you're going through life trying to please everybody else, how can you ever really connect to like your own personal bliss? How can you connect to the thing that is gonna make you happy? And just, you can trust that by doing that, by following what is making you happy, yeah, you know what? You're probably gonna piss some people off, but you're gonna piss them off anyway. And you're also going to inspire some people who maybe were going through the same thing as you to say, okay, I'm ready to make myself truly happy. So that's kind of the main thing I just wanted to get out there. I just wanted to say, if you have something that you want and you feel blocked, if there is something that you want but you feel like, well, I can't have it because that's just the way the world is, and in order to get by in this world, I need to do blank. Just start gently exploring that, just thinking, okay, well, what if I didn't do that? What would happen? And maybe just start playing around with it. Ask for some experiences, ask for some support from, your spiritual like guides and helpers to give you the strength and the energy to go through that. But then ask for those experiences to come up, and I absolutely promise you that if you ask for them to come up, if you invite them in, they will come up, because they're already there. It's just whether or not you've welcomed them, whether or not you've welcomed them in. And once you start exploring these gently, once these start to come up, you can start to update your own personal survival guide, and you will be able to see you can do more than simply survive. That our lives here are about more than just getting by, more about going to your soul-crushing job because you have to, because if you don't, you won't make enough money, and if you don't make enough money, you'll end up on the street, and if you end up on the street, it's like, okay, so we have these systems where we think we have to do these things, or we are going to die, or we are going to be unhappy. But I see it as so different than that now. I see it as you need to make yourself happy. And that is a sustainable foundation for everything else that you plant in there. So I guess that's the message that I just want to leave with. I'm really interested in hearing if anybody has had any personal paradigms and systems that they've deconstructed, that they have updated, that they have learned that they don't need anymore. And for anybody who's interested in this kind of topic, there's a documentary that's pretty well known in, like certain circles, I guess, in like spiritual circles, called Thrive. And I will hopefully, if I figure out how, link that down here so you can click to learn more about that. And there are parts of it that seem kind of hokey and goofy, but I think it's a really fantastic reminder that we're here on this earth to do more than just get by, and to do more than just survival of the fittest, prettiest, happiest, whatever it is. We're here to do more than survive. We're here to thrive, and we're here to be happy and to bring others into that happiness. And I just really want to emphasize, if you are in a place in life where you feel stuck, where you feel forced into doing something, where you feel like there's no other way, and what you're doing is not what you want, and it's not making you happy, but you have this overwhelming sense of, this is what I have to do, You don't have to do it. You don't. There are ways out. For a really large portion of my life, that's how I felt. And ever since I have begun embracing a different reality and a different paradigm, I've skyrocketed out of that old way, and new doors are opening left and right. I can't even explore them quickly enough. I'm so excited and enlivened by my life, and I'm so excited to meet more people and welcome more people into that space with me. So that's the message I just want to leave you with today. Be compassionate and gentle with yourself. Be loving and gently explore some of those places you are fearful of, and you might just see that you are more powerful than you knew you were. So thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.